Welcome to the Deep Dive. Ready to explore how a simple love story can give us a deeper understanding of English?
Yeah, it's really interesting how a story can make learning enjoyable and effective.
We're checking out this YouTube video, Learn English with Podcasts. They say that immersing yourself in stories can help you learn vocabulary, grammar, and even improve your imagination.
And they use a love story as an example. It's
Yeah,
really clever because love is something everyone can relate to.
exactly. It's a story about Alex, who's a young businessman. He meets Maria, who's from a village he's visiting, and he's instantly smitten.
Classic story of meeting someone new and feeling that connection, all happening in a charming village setting.
So in the video, you see Alex immediately drawn to Maria. He's new in town, maybe a little unsure of himself, but then, by chance, they bump into each other again.
And this time, he finds the courage to talk to her. Turns out Maria is intelligent, kind, and of course beautiful. They have these deep conversations and they really hit it off.
And as they spend more time together, walking through beautiful scenery, having romantic picnics, all those classic romantic moments, their feelings grow stronger. That's when Alex realizes he's falling head over heels.
It's a clever way for the video to introduce vocabulary related to feelings and sensory experiences. Really immersive storytelling.
And it works. Alex, realizing that Maria is the one, confesses his feelings for her.
And she feels the same. So the story takes this heartwarming turn as their relationship blossoms.
They don't just stay in this idyllic setting, though. They become important members of the community. Alex starts a successful business, the
Right.
villagers respect him, and Maria is dedicated to helping people and the local church.
It's a subtle message about the importance of not just being in love, but building a life together, both as individuals and as part of a community. And the vocabulary they use in this part of the video really reflects that.
But as we all know, life throws curveballs. The video shows the challenges they face. Financial struggles, health scares, life's ups and downs.
It's a reminder that even the strongest relationships face challenges, and it's how you face those challenges together that matters. And that's when the story takes a bittersweet turn. Maria gets sick.
This part of the story is heartbreaking, but it really shows the depth of their love as they face this adversity. Alex is her rock, her caregiver, her constant companion, showing unwavering devotion. You can feel the rawness of his emotions as he holds on to hope for her recovery.
The story reminds us that life is precious, and we should cherish every moment. But despite Alex's love and care, Maria's condition worsens.
And in this really poignant scene, Maria peacefully accepts her fate. She expresses her love and gratitude for their life together. It's a powerful reminder that even when facing death, love, acceptance, and gratitude can prevail.
This part of the story highlights a universal truth.
Mm.
Even the most beautiful love stories have to end. But the love, the memories, those live on.
This episode's theme has really gotten me thinking about how this love story, though simple, has these really profound truths about life, loss, and resilience.
It shows how powerful stories are, how they can connect with us on such a basic human level.
I completely agree. It makes you wonder, why do stories have this hold on us? Why do they stick with us long after we've heard them?
Well, it seems our brains are wired for stories. Think about it. Humans have used stories for a really long time to understand the world, to share what they know, to build communities.
It's like storytelling is part of us.
Exactly.
Ah.
Because of that, our brains have developed a specific way to process these narratives.
Mm-hmm.
When we listen to a really captivating story, it's not just one part of our brain that lights up, it's multiple areas, not just the language centers.
So it's not just passively listening. Our brains are really working during a good story.
Absolutely. Studies actually show that when we get into a story, areas of our brain responsible for feelings, what we sense, and even movement are all activated.
Wait, movement. You mean like the way we move our bodies? What does that have to do with just listening?
I know, it's pretty wild. It's called embodied cognition. Basically, if we hear about someone doing something in a story, like climbing a mountain, the parts of our brain that control that action actually light up, almost like we're climbing it too.
So we're kind of living the experience just by hearing about it. That's amazing.
And that's a big reason why stories are such great teaching tools. When we experience a story on multiple levels, emotionally, through our senses, even physically, that information sticks with us.
It's like we're not just learning about it, we're living it, even if it's just in our heads.
Exactly. That brings us to another super important part of storytelling: emotion. Think of a story that stuck with you. What made it so unforgettable?
It probably made me feel something strong, whether it was happiness, sadness, fear, excitement.
Exactly. Feelings really help us create memories. When we feel something strongly, our brains release these hormones that make those memories stronger and more vivid.
That makes sense. We usually remember emotionally charged events more clearly than everyday stuff.
Exactly. This is really important when it comes to how we teach and learn. If we can use stories to make people feel something, we're not just making learning fun, we're making it more effective.
This takes me back to that English learning video. It wasn't just about memorizing words, it was about feeling what the characters felt. Their happiness, their sadness, their love, their loss. No wonder the vocabulary was so impactful.
It all comes down to that. By putting those language lessons within a compelling story, they used emotion to help people learn. And this applies to more than just learning a language. It works for anything where you want to teach something or make a lasting impression.
Are you saying that to really teach someone something or communicate effectively, you need to go beyond just giving information? You need to create a story that resonates with them emotionally.
Exactly. Don't just engage the mind, engage the heart too.
Because we've all been there, stuck listening to a boring lecture where nothing sinks in.
Oh yeah, for sure. But when you hear a well-told story, it grabs your attention. It makes you feel something and stays with you. This brings us to another crucial point about storytelling.
Yeah.
It brings people together.
That's so important now more than ever. Stories can build bridges between people. They can create understanding and empathy, even when people come from different backgrounds or have different beliefs.
Stories remind us that deep down we're all human, that we have things in common.
There's that saying, a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet. Stories help us see those shared experiences, those moments of happiness, sadness, love, loss, the things that make us human.
And in a world that can feel so divided, stories are more important now than ever. They can bring us together, make us more understanding, and remind us of how resilient the human spirit is.
I couldn't agree more. And it's not just about those big, epic stories. Sometimes the most powerful ones are the small, simple ones, the ones about everyday life, about overcoming obstacles, about little victories.
You're right. The stories we tell our friends and family, even the stories we tell ourselves, they all have the power to change how we see things, the choices we make, and connect us to something bigger than ourselves.
So how do we tap into that power? How can we become better storytellers?
That's a great question. And it's something we'll explore when we come back on the deep dive.
Back again for the deep dive. So far, we've talked about how stories help us understand language on a deeper level and why they stick with us.
We've seen how they tap into our emotions, engage our senses, and even make us feel like we're physically experiencing what we're hearing about, which makes learning way more immersive and memorable.
Absolutely. Now, you got me thinking, even if we're not writers or anything, how can we use this power of storytelling in our own lives?
A lot of people wonder about that. The good news is, you don't need to be a master storyteller to tell a captivating story. It's a skill, you can develop it, just like learning a new language.
I like that. So where do we start if we want to become better storytellers?
It always begins with being genuine. The most powerful stories are the ones that come from a real place inside you. Embrace all your experiences, even the messy ones, the ones that didn't go as planned.
So it's not about being perfect or polished. It's about being real, relatable.
Exactly. People connect with vulnerability, with the courage to share your truth, your struggles, what you've overcome. That's what makes a story stick with someone.
It's about letting go of that need to be perfect and just being ourselves. We're all learning and growing as we go through life.
You got it. And when you share your true self through stories, you create a genuine connection. Now, being authentic is super important, but having a little structure can really help make your stories captivating.
Okay, how can we structure our stories to really keep people hooked?
Think about a movie that really pulls you in. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You set the scene, introduce the characters, create some tension, then you have the climax, and finally, you resolve the story.
You're creating a whole journey for the listener with unexpected turns along the way.
Exactly. And don't underestimate how powerful sensory details can be. Use your words to create a vivid picture. Describe what you saw, what you heard, smelled, tasted, felt. Bring your audience right into the heart of your story.
Like they say, show don't tell. Instead of just saying, it was a beautiful day, you could say, the sun felt warm on my skin and the air was filled with the sweet scent of honeysuckle. It creates a much richer experience for the listener.
That's it. And never forget the power of emotion. Remember, emotions make experiences and stories memorable.
It's like that saying, people might not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
Absolutely. Make your audience feel what you felt, the joy, the sorrow, the fear, the excitement. And here's another tip. Use metaphors and analogies. They're really helpful for explaining complicated ideas and making them relatable.
Can you give me an example?
Let's say you want to explain the idea of perseverance. Instead of just giving a dry definition, you could say, life is like navigating a stormy sea. You'll encounter waves that crash over you, trying to pull you under. But it's in those moments, when you find the strength to rise above the chaos, that you discover the true meaning of resilience.
Wow, that's powerful. You took something abstract and made it real, something we can connect with.
Metaphors and analogies help people understand new concepts while making your storytelling more creative and interesting. Just remember, storytelling is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better with practice.
It's like learning that new language, right? The more you use it, the better you get.
Exactly. Start small. Tell a friend a story. Practice in front of the mirror. Even record yourself. The more you practice, the more confident and engaging you'll become. And most importantly, don't be afraid to try new things. Find your own voice, your own style.
Because it's all about sharing your unique perspective with the world, right?
Sure.
Using your stories to connect with others, to inspire them, to make a difference, even in a small way.
That's beautifully said. Just like that English learning video we talked about, the one that sparked this whole conversation, you never know how your stories might affect others, how they might inspire someone, create change, or just make someone's day a little brighter.
It reminds us that we all have stories to tell, so keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those stories coming.
That's a wrap on another deep dive. Until next time, happy storytelling, everyone.